Hey, welcome back. I'm Steve. We need to talk about practice, okay? If you're a tournament fisherman, a lot of people are, you inevitably practice. Now, first thing I want to say is, it's not real important that you go out and win practice. As a matter of fact, doing too well in practice can hurt you, especially if you're practicing immediately before the tournament. But what I want to get to is there are different schools of thought with fishing. One school of thought is get a quick limit with something finessey, or maybe take advantage of a top water bite or something like that. Or fish for 5 bites, and those 5 bites will probably outweigh the fish that you would have caught finesse fishing. To be honest, it depends on the body of water. Some bodies of water are so clean and so clear that about all you can do is finesse fish. Other times, you have the right conditions, even if the water is clean and clear, where you can throw a big bait. If there's a good ripple on the surface, if it's overcast, plus you got a little bit of wind, that opens you up to a lot more baits. But what I want to do is talk about how to catch big fish in a tournament. Okay? You have to get yourself into the mindset that you're fishing for 5 to 7 fish in a day. Not a dozen, not 2 dozen. And I know that some lakes just don't lend themselves to fishing for a dozen bites. You're doing good if you get 4 or 5 bites in a day. Let's say you're in the middle of the road lake. It can give up a limit of 15 to 17 pounds on a good day. On a bad day, 10 pounds wins there. There's a lot of lakes like that all over the nation. And the thing I want you to think about is, if you're practicing, you want to practice for big fish. You can always fall back and go more finessey on what you're using to get more bites if it gets tough. Now, what do I mean? Give me an example. Help me understand this. Okay. You're going out to practice on a lake. You like to fish a jig. Fantastic. Jig catches decent fish. Well, if it's a lake that has some decent fish in it and the watercolor is okay, does it really make a whole lot of sense to go out there with this little 16th ounce finesse jig with a little tiny trailer? Is that necessarily what you want to be fishing? My thought is, fish something full size. Okay? Black and purple jig, green pumpkin, chigger craw. Okay? Something that's a bit of a mouthful. Still not a mega bait, but it's a good, decent sized bait. If that doesn't work, maybe you switch over to something a little bit smaller. Very similar trailer, trimmed up a little bit more, but overall, a smaller profile, as you can see. Then in a tournament, if you're not getting the bites that you had, then you could switch over to something more finessey. And it works the same with a spinnerbait. I got 3 spinnerbaits here to show you. Okay. Booyah spinnerbait. The one that Jason Christie uses. Covert. Good spinnerbait. Nice full-size bait. Catches good-sized fish. This one's ½ ounce. Put a bunch of different trailers on it. Maybe even trim up this part of the skirt a little bit if you want. This is the size bait that I would be practicing with. Now, if I don't get bit on that, I can go to a more compact size bait. Okay, lighter. Stay up in the water column a little bit better, so you might have to reel it slower. But more compact, especially if you cut the skirt off there. Okay, let's look at the difference between the two sizes. Okay, we'll put them together. But you'll notice that this is more of a light bait, where this is more of a heavier bait, but almost the same size frame. That's when I'll go to something like this compact spinnerbait. Now this spinnerbait is truly compact. It's also the same weight as the Booyah. Now how do you do that with a tinier spinnerbait? More of the weight is down here on the hook. That's where it's hidden. So I can fish a bigger profile spinnerbait, but I can also go finessier with it. Now, if that bite turns to nothing, sure, you can go to a Senko, you can go to a drop shot or something. But in most cases, that should be the backup. Finesse should be the backup, not the starting point. So, till next time, maybe you'll catch some bigger fish in practice and in tournaments. I'm Steve.